Hey guys, Ben Big Stuff here. Welcome to another Gen 4 technical support video. So this video is going to be covering E85 and how to use it with our system. It's extremely simple on how to use it, how to set it up. So we're going to go over that in today's video. If your box does not have E85, because the Gen 4 ECUs come option based, it's very simple to get it added on. Basically, just email us at support@bigstufftpm.com and send us email stating, hey, I want an E85. We'll simply just need your ECU serial number, such as up here that's next to my name. We can look it up. We can send you an update file, and you can actually add the option using the built-in SD card. Cycle the ignition, boom, and it's up. It's $150 as of this video. So by all means, if you want it, give us a shout. You can get that option opened up on the ECU. It's very simple. So today, let's cover how to actually configure it and use it in the software. So first thing is on our website, if you go to BigStuffTPM.com, you're going to have this Gen 4 tech support section here. So up here is the Gen 4 tech, but if you're on the website itself, under tech info, we have a Gen 4 tech and support section. In the lower left-hand corner, you have all these different manuals because we break everything out instead of having one big manual, which we do have obviously two. But if you go directly into the 85 manual, you'll come over here, and this is where everything covering E85 will be. It's very simple. We're going to go over all that right now, okay? So first thing is, when you're in your Big Stuff app, you're going to have it listed. If it's not listed for some reason, either on your menu bar or anywhere in your calibration, that means the option is not activated. Get it from us. We'll get it configured. If your ECU does have it, now we're going to go from there. So obviously you have to have an 85 sensor wired in. You have to have it reading, okay, in order for this to work, or else it won't work. So in this example, we're reading 59% ethanol. Okay, that's what this shows on this vehicle that we're working with right now. Obviously, it's a flex fuel sensor. That's the whole point. So you can go back and forth between gas. It senses the ethanol content, and everything is done for you pretty much automatically in the background. Okay. So in the system menu, you're going to have this hardware configuration section. In the hardware configuration section, you're going to come down here where it says fuel type. It's going to be set to flex fuel E85. This is very important. This is flex fuel E85 is very important if you're running the E85 option. Now, if you're just running straight ethanol, you would select straight ethanol and you would be tuning with an AFR scale of your choice based on ethanol. But because we're flex fuel, we're in lambda. Okay, we got to be in lambda because depending on the ethanol content, we don't know what the air-fuel ratio target is. That's why we switch everything to lambda only, and now you're tuning only on lambda. So it's very important that you have that, so that as you're varying the amount of gasoline with the 85, it's going to work appropriately using a lambda target, not AFR targets like the other ones are. The other fuel types, just for your own information, those can be used in lambda because everything's actually based off lambda. The AFR is a calculation based on whatever type of fuel that you're using. Okay, so once you get it configured up here, you're going to select flex fuel sensor E85. Then you're also going to come to your fuel settings menu. Under the fuel modifier selection, you're going to have a E85 right here, E85 correction. Okay, so this has to be enabled as well. This is going to allow the 85 option to actually alter and change the tables for the ethanol content that you have. Okay, and then also under the ignition settings menu, you're going to go to spark modifier selection, and same thing. We're going to look for the E85 spark offset, and that's going to be enabled as well. Now, you don't have to do this, but we recommend this as your base settings to allow these two to work, because if you don't have them, then the 85 may not work correctly for your application. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible for a one-stop shop, so when you enable this stuff, it does work correctly. Okay, so once those are all set up and you're ready to go, you can now come in your E85 platform here. And on E85 parameters, you want to make sure that's also enabled as well. Okay, when you enable it, you're then going to have all these different menus here associated with the 85. So the first one here is going to be the 85 fuel correction curve. Now you'll notice that we actually have barely anything in here. And what's really cool about the way we set our software up is that you actually don't have to have a lot of correction in here, okay? Other manufacturers may have you put all these big offsets and this and that, but we do a lot of heavy lifting in the background for you so that when you're actually running the 85, you're actually very close on the fuel coming out of the box from the factory. So you'll see here that only when I start getting in a lot of ethanol content do I have to start pumping a little bit of offset in there. It's not much at all, but anything below E56 in this case or E50, I'm not even providing any type of offset. The software is just doing it for me automatically. So it's a very nice, it's very nice in that application to where you're able to let the software do its thing. You don't have to provide a bunch of offsets, be changing this, be tuning this all the time nonstop. You'll find out that it's very little has to be done so that when you go up or down the ethanol scale, this heavy lifting has been mainly done for you, okay? Over here, you also have a lambda offset curve. So what's going to happen here is you run more E85. You typically want to alter the lambda offset a little bit more, okay? So you can see here where we're down by E10, which is basically pump gas. We have barely anything at all, okay? But as we start getting more in the 85 section, we're going to see here we're offsetting about 0.06 to 0.07 in this case. The factory table should be pretty good, but you definitely want to run more of an offset the more E85 that you have. Again, factory curve may work fine for you. You can also zero this out. We don't recommend it, but you want to plug in something around these numbers to get you the correct offset for the lambda. You can also have a different coolant correction curve. In this application, we don't even need any. Again, all the heavy lifting is done in the background, but if you want to have more coolant being pumped in for your application so that when you're very cold, you can have more 85, that's not a problem. Again, the E85, when you are cold, typically wants a lot, but we do a lot of work for you in the background. So if it needs minor tweaking, this is also working in conjunction with whatever you have for the base coolant correction curve in your fuel settings if you have that table enabled. Again, we recommend that table being enabled as well. So we're trying to keep the offsets to a minimum for you guys so it's as easy as possible to get to where you want to be as fast as possible. So you're not tweaking on this stuff all the time nonstop, okay? So this is zeroed out in that application. So now that we're in the acceleration enrichment curve section, again, you can see here nothing's being added to it. So try to make it as easy as possible on you. Nothing even has to be added in there. You're just going to do your typical acceleration enrichment settings, which you do over in the fuel settings section, okay, under the transient fuel section. In this application, we didn't even have to actually change it at all. So again, going down that path of giving you, as many tables to not touch is what we're trying to give you. So acceleration enrichment, you just leave it alone. Cranking correction curve, you can see here in this application, once above E43, we start adding a little bit. It doesn't take much. Again, this is a percentage that's added onto your existing cranking curve here under startup section. You got a cranking curve right here, okay? That's added as a percentage onto this. So in this application, we got about 4.8 to 4 milliseconds. That'd be 10% more on top of that if we were adding more fuel in this section, okay? So that's the cranking correction curve. We have also an idle offset pulse width table. So basically what you can do is when you're idling, you can fine tune down to the microsecond a small bit of pulse width so that you can add or subtract as little fuel as you want because of the 85. Again, we're trying to give you as many tables as necessary for you to accomplish the goal. Sometimes you'll need this here, sometimes you won't, but again, you can use our factory table. That typically will work fine, or you can start adjusting it more and to give it more or less fuel. You can see that when we're down around 10%, we're giving it nothing. But as the ethanol content goes up, we're giving it a little bit more. So just depends. This is again more for idle. Once we're at a 1200 RPM, it's all zeros because here we're not trying to idle this high in this application, okay? And again, you can even see in the 3D table that there's not much of a change granularly here, but it would give you the adjustment necessary. Now, also, if you're running an internal boost controller, you can also add the offset here. So as you add more 85, you can say, okay, I want to add 2 more pounds of boost as the ethanol content grows. Again, this curve is already built in. In this application, we're not doing any, but you could if you wanted to. We also give you the ability to add some spark. So as the ethanol content goes up in this application, we're adding a little bit of timing, not much, but by the time we get to about E85 or so, we're adding about almost a degree of timing When we get down to below, we're actually taking some out. So totally up to you as far as how you want to configure this table. You can, again, have it be all zeros, but as you add more E85, you can absolutely 100% typically run more timing in most applications. So that's the 85 section. Again, very easy, very intuitive. If you follow those basic steps like we talked about in the other sections with the hardware configuration. Oh, one more thing. You also, when you're tuning, when you go to the AFR section, your target O2 table is all going to be in Lambda, okay? So you got to remember, when you set it up for flex fuel and you're on the ethanol content, okay, you're going to run everything in Lambda. There is no AFR scale that you're going to use. So you can see in this application, we're about 1.05 to 1 at idle. Then we started making some boost, 0.83, under 30 pounds of boost per 0.75. So you got to remember that when your flex fuel scale, you're going to be tuning in Lambda, okay? Any questions, please give us a shout. You can go to BigStuffTPM.com for more information. Thanks as always for checking out these videos. If you have any questions at all, please give us a call at support@BigStuffTPM.com. And thank you for watching, and talk to you soon.